Brenda Thompson, who's going to be speaking for TTC Riders, who's also an activist in the Free and Accessible Transit campaign, and also has been very active in trying to build a public transit movement particularly through TTC Riders, but also in particular around anti-privatization, and also trying to actually find out what people's real interests and needs are around transit. And she's been a pioneer in this, particularly in Scarborough. Brenda Thompson.
I'm going to try not to repeat. Camilla gave you some really good information. I'm going to try not to repeat it, but I apologize if I do. So I'm here as a representative of TTC Riders, and this is one of the biggest transit organizations in the city. And we got together in around 2011, and we basically represent the transit rider. So we're interested in what it's like to ride the TTC and what transit riders need, what makes it better for them. And so just a quick recap, from 2011 to 2014, we were hit with incredible service cuts and fare increases. It was particularly difficult for people living in the outer neighborhoods because most of those service cuts were to bus service. And that's what most people rely on in places like Scarborough and Jane and Finch. So just to go into a little bit more detail to what Camilla was saying, on the left you have a list of all the cities in North America and Canada and the contribution that fares make toward the operation of their transit systems. And as you can see, Toronto riders contribute 72%. And since 2010, the contribution of the city has been going steadily downwards up until this year. So back in 2010, the city contributed 93 cents. And then by 2014, the city only contributed 79 cents. So we were more and more reliant on fares, which is not a good situation. This year, the city contribution has gone up to 85 cents, but it's still not as high as it was in 2010. So even though we're hearing all this news about improving service, we're still really not back up to the same level we were 5 years ago. Anyway, next slide. Thanks. This is one of the campaigns that TTC Riders has been using to push the city to make a much better contribution toward transit operations. And it's actually been very popular. I've heard that Mayor Tory has said he doesn't want any more great grumpy rider selfies. So it's getting to him, which is a good thing. Even with that campaign, we're still keeping it going, but we still have a little bit more work to do.
Ford says he likes it.
So with the budget that's going to be passed in March, the city budget, he's going to contribute $95 million toward express service, children riding for free, and some all-day, everyday bus service, and some more subway trains. However, we are not getting some. We are going to have to pay for some of these things. So thanks, Herman. We didn't get 2-hour transfers, and we didn't get a fare freeze that was promised during the municipal election. And the 2-hour transfers would have been great. You could have got off the bus, did some grocery shopping, come back on the bus and go home, and you wouldn't have had to pay another fare. So as things work out, today's the day when we will be paying 10 cents more for tokens, and the Metro Pass will go up to $141.50. So as Camilla said, even with the added 95 million, it's the transit rider that is, and especially the low-income transit rider, who's going to be paying for these service improvements. So what's in the future? TTC Riders is very much in favor of affordable, accessible transit for all. We see mobility as something that is equally deserved amongst every resident in Toronto. And we're going to push the province to bring the subsidy for transit operations back up to pre-1995 levels, and that would mean a $700 million contribution every year. Certainly you've heard about some of the flooding, the service cancellations. All of that stuff is really the result, I think, of the province not contributing their fair share. So the actual maintenance of the existing system has been allowed to deteriorate, and this would address some of those issues. The city has to get used to the idea of contributing more money toward transit operations. This idea that, you know, you can't have a property tax increase above the rate of inflation. Well, Toronto has one of the lowest property taxes in the entire, you know, province. So, you know, we've got to get creative, and we've got to start contributing more to city services. We're also very much in favor of a low-income pass, and the response that we're getting from people who are struggling to pay for TTC tokens is that it should be free for people who are on Ontario Works and Ontario Disability. And those people who live below the poverty line, they should only have to pay $50 for a pass. And we would also like to see regular fares frozen. Finally, I guess the last two are to keep it public. That's definitely going to have an impact on the new transit that is being built, the new LRTs. Both the federal and the provincial government are totally enamored with public-private partnerships, and they are going to basically put the onus on the transit rider to make up for profits. I can't think of anything worse. Finally, there's a federal election coming up, and we definitely need a transit strategy. So the idea of the late Jim Flaherty coming in, swooping in, and saying, here's $660 million for your subway in Scarborough, that's not what we consider to be a national transit strategy. We need dedicated, continuous, long-term funding so that projects are funded on merit and not on somebody's political agenda. And I guess the one I missed here was LRTs, connecting to outer neighborhoods. We're not really in favor of the subway in Scarborough, mainly because it's only going to have 3 stops. And with the LRT, we would have had 7 stops, and we would have served the students of Centennial College. With the subway, I really doubt that they're going to get any service at all. And this is what we see when the idea of a subway is promoted. We see something that cuts people off from access to the rapid transit system. Another example is the Shepherd LRT. That has about 26 stops. It goes all the way from Don Mills Station all the way out to Malvern. It hasn't been built yet, but when it is built, it will certainly ensure that people in our outer neighborhoods get the rapid transit that people in other parts of the city now have. And if they were to say, oh no, we're not going to build a Shepherd LRT, we're going to build a subway, none of those people will get rapid transit. So it's just, we see it as an equity issue, and we see that the subway often isn't promoted or isn't planned in a way that's really going to serve the riders, the people who depend on transit from the moment they go out their front door, and not just people that can drive to a subway station. Anyway, I guess that's everything, and I hope that you will join us. We take a lot of trips down to City Hall. Try not to go too often, but often we're down there fighting for more money for service and for lower fares, and it'd be great to have some of you come along. Thank you.